as often as I remember it. Sometimes I'm doing it every day, multiple times a day. There have been times where I haven't touched the practice in months. And then I'm like realizing I'm needing something in my life. And I recognize, it's actually I need something that will allow for me to access my wellness now without waiting until, I do this cleanse, or without waiting until I have time without my children. I know y'all hear them in the background. They're super loud. But, that time may come. Those resources may come. But I don't feel good waiting for my wellness. You're listening to the Lifelong Learning Podcast with your hosts, Mama Kaya and Mama Nika, from the Tribe Learning Co-op, an evolving village that supports families and finding their tribe through sharing resources and responsibilities. Journey with us as we explore what and how we learn with each other, our children, and ourselves. We and our guests will contribute to conversations around wellness through self-directed learning, parenting, sustainability, and community. If you've landed here, it's not a coincidence. What you're seeking is always seeking you too. We are so grateful for your presence energizing the tribe. Peace and welcome. Peace, tribe. It's Mama Nika, and I'm coming to you solo today for a special episode. Special because it'll be quite simple and quite brief, and I think that's a gift sometimes. And before I jump into the nature of this message today, I just wanted to thank all of you who have sent kind words and offerings of feedback for this beautiful project that we've birthed, the Tribe Learning Co-op's Lifelong Learning Podcast. I feel so grateful that we stepped out on faith and allowed ourselves to indulge in something that is imperfect and a constant work in progress. And so to receive some of your love notes and your care and your feedback has just felt like such a gift. And so I wanted to just express gratitude for that. And then also I wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind providing that feedback in the form of a rating. We'd absolutely love that. If you're listening to this at a time where we've moved through the waiting period of getting our podcast on Amazon Music, you'll be able to leave ratings there as well as on Apple Podcast. And in this very current moment, you can actually leave ratings only on Spotify. So when you're listening to this, try all three, but we are most concerned with ratings on Spotify. And then once the podcast is on Apple Podcast, being able to actually rate and review. So some of those love notes that you've sent our way, you can be in reciprocity with us by also helping other people find our podcast, people that might want to share in what it is that we're talking about, but also share in resource and maybe be a guest on the podcast. So thank you so much. And now we can get right into what the nature of the message is today. So it's a full moon today, and it's the first day of my moon. And I've just been feeling really reflective and allowing for myself to indulge in the simple pleasures of what I like to call accessible medicine. And what I mean by that is nothing fancy, nothing that costs a lot of money, but just the things that I have available to me now in a moment. And so today, what that's looked like has been rest, like actually laying in my bed and going to sleep. My voice, kind of humming and being quiet too. I feel like that's also medicinal, giving the voice a rest. And then also drinking warm broths and teas and really just relishing in that frequency of warmth. So today has been a pretty easygoing day, and it just really inspired me to be grateful for the simple things that we have kind of at our fingertips all the time. And so it inspired me to want to share a little bit about what I am offering you today. And if you have known me for a while, back in 2020, I created a video that I have shared on my personal YouTube channel, which there's not much there. I think that's the only video I have. But that was an easy way to share a video at the time. But during that time, I was just really feeling the weight of just that visceral energy from the pandemic. And I was feeling pretty disconnected from a lot of people that I was in relationship to for one reason or another. And I won't go into all of that at this time. But I really felt like I wanted to be in deeper connection, especially in a time where people were feeling disconnected from each other, disconnected from, their human bodies. And I created a video sharing one of my favorite pleasure practices, which is tapping my glands. And so I just had the thought today to actually share that with this community because at the time I was sharing it primarily with my community of birthing people, birth workers, and just anyone who was looking for another addition in their toolkit of self-care practices. And so I wanted to bring it to the tribe because so much of what we do with our children and with our families requires so much of us. And I feel it especially on a day like today when this is the first day of my personal moon and I just really want to tap out. And I recognize that when I am more on top of caring for myself, especially around this time, it doesn't feel as taxing on my system because I have more reserve and I can draw from my stores. And so in the moment when I really feel like tapping out, I have this reminder that I have the option of tapping in this moment and in the moments that lead up to moments where we actually need way more of ourselves. And so I'm bringing this practice to you in hopes that there's some transformation and some resource available for you and how you're existing in your body, in your life right now. And I wanted to share a little bit of context for this practice. So the practice is essentially exactly what it sounds like, tapping and tapping on the glands. And the glands are organs that secrete information. And that information we know as our hormones. And I like to think about hormones like the Wi-Fi of our bodies. So it's sending messages and signals to other parts of the body, whether that be inside the body to other organs in the bloodstream or secreting them out of the body. But that is communication. And so thinking of our bodies and our bloodstream as our own personal waterway, if you will, really kind of enhances this idea of thinking of the body as water. And different schools of thought kind of say that we have 60 to 70% water in our body. Some say it's over 75. And then there are other schools of thought. If you're really interested, I would encourage you to research the fourth phase of water. But some schools of thought that see our body as consisting of 99% of water molecules. And so what that says to me, regardless of the number, we know that it's a majority. What that says to me is that our bodies are receptive and are made of waves. And we know that the building blocks of life, atoms, consist of particles and waves. And it's not just a solid structure like maybe we thought before. But it's particles and waves that are vibrating. The life is vibrating. Every single building block. So those atoms creating molecules, creating cells, which create different organs, and our personal waters is what I like to call it. The waters of our womb, the waters of our body. All of this water is very receptive and very full of communication. So a lot of the ways that we interact in our lives through words and thoughts and ideas, how we move our bodies, what we put in our bodies, whether that be in the form of food or information, things that we touch, things that we feel, sounds that we take in, whether that be the sounds of, singing bowls or somebody else's voice, which is our unique cosmic signature, our very own personal resonance, our voice, whether that's through tapping our body, humming, jumping up and down. These are all ways that we are shifting the frequency, because these are frequencies, but we're shifting the frequency of our own bodies. And so when I think about self-care, oftentimes there's this idea of like being able to afford all of the supplements and the drinks and the herbs, being able to afford a personal trainer or go to the spa all the time, being able to even have so much time on your hands to be able to actually do these practices. But something about that feels inaccessible. Like sometimes we'll be able to invest in those ways. But self-care is something that I personally believe that we are able to access anywhere, anytime, free of cost, with the wisdom of our own body's technology. And so this practice of tapping of the glands is one of those ways that self-care becomes really practical and accessible for me. And so the tapping is this energetic nudge, if you will, that allows for your hormones to vibrate and move and communicate and stimulate so that you can occupy a different frequency. And so if we think of a lot of our hormonal health being so tied to our entire body health, our whole health, then being able to support these hormones and our glands in doing the work that they need to do feels like supporting of our entire bodies. So I do this practice as often as I remember it. Sometimes I'm doing it every day, multiple times a day. There have been times where I haven't touched the practice in months. And then I'm like realizing I'm needing something in my life. And I recognize, it's actually I need something that will allow for me to access my wellness now without waiting until I do this cleanse, or without waiting until I have time without my children. I know y'all hear them in the background. They're super loud. But, that time may come. Those resources may come. But I don't feel good waiting for my wellness. So this is an accessible practice for you all. I hope that you enjoy it and that as you indulge in the practice, you find ways to make it your own. And one way that I've made it my own is I laughed because I was like, well, I did create this practice, but no, I really didn't. I was taught this practice and I did make it my own. But a way that I further made it my own is once I started to get accustomed to the, frequency of tapping and to the different organs in the body and the different glands and learning about what they actually do in the body, I created these affirmations that actually go hand in hand with each part of the body that I tap. And so as I tap, I would say these affirmations. And so I encourage you to get really creative with how you want to use this practice. And most importantly, to just remember that as you do the practice, that this is your birthright, to be able to alter and shift your frequency at any time. And so thinking of other ways of wellness that have nothing to do with an external authority, but being able to tap in with that inner knowing and recognizing that it's not just about losing weight. It's not just about eating healthy. It's also about the energy that you are sending to yourself. And what better way to send yourself good vibes than to be in relationship with touch that feels good, words that feel good, and a practice of pause and listening that really nurtures your body and gives you an opportunity to take a moment of wellness wherever you are. So you can do this no matter where you are. You can do it with people watching. You can go in a closet if you don't want people watching. You can do this anywhere. You can do it in the middle of caring for your kids in any given day. You can do it at work while you work. I would often do it while I was at births. It's so accessible in that way. And then, as I mentioned before, all of life is frequency. So even if you can't do the percussive kind of tapping with your fingers on your body, you can always utilize your thoughts to focus in on those particular areas in your body. And even more that I don't mention in this meditation, but focusing in on those areas and mentally tap. And that too is frequency. And that too has its own percussive kind of quality. So I just really hope that if nothing else, you're able to take away from this practice that healing is your birthright, and that in whatever way you can access your own wellness in a moment, it's totally okay and more than okay. It's brilliance. It's brilliance of your body. And so before I stop talking and allow for the meditation to come in, I just wanted to share a song, because one of my personal ways of accessing my wellness these days has been through voice healing. So lots of humming, chanting, and audible crying, like wailing. These have been ways to really shift energy in my body, and the feedback of the resonance of hearing my own voice has been really, really healing. And so I've been joining with a group to sing together. And if you're interested in that and you are local, please reach out to me so that we can connect and do that together in community. And if you're not local, but you are interested in just going through some voice exercises that will support you in getting to know your own voice, because I know it's your voice, but if you're anything like me, sometimes it takes a little bit of reorienting and getting to know your voice after maybe some traumatic event or enduring a lifetime where you were not able to speak your truth. And so if you're interested in kind of delving into voice healing and you're not local to Charlotte, please do reach out to me, because I am hoping to bring together a group that would love to meet virtually to do some practices and just be in community and share what comes through as we activate our own resonance together. So this song I actually caught from a beautiful, beautiful soul who was present at the birth of my second son, and also did placenta medicine with my placenta for my first son. And so she's a very special part of my life and my family, and she taught me this song, and it just feels so resonant to what I've been sharing here about our personal waterway, which is our blood, and thinking even more deeply our bloodline, and thinking about our ancestors and even beyond our human ancestors. But if we are water, our ancestors, is the water for one, but the cosmos, the land. And so it makes me feel really connected, and it feels like a really beautiful and bountiful medicine song that just further gets me in that spirit of seeing myself as not separate from the world around me. We're just all waves and particles bumping into each other at any given time. So I don't know what the song is called, and I don't know who was the first to sing it. However, my dear sister Selena shared this song with me, and I want to leave you with it as a little bit of voice medicine, and hopefully you can add it to your bag of songs so that you can sing it to yourself and your little ones whenever you want to feel connected. And so it goes. Put your roots down, put your feet on the ground. You can hear the earth sing if you listen. Put your roots down, put your feet on the ground. You can hear the earth sing if you listen. 'Cause the sound of the river as it flows across the stones is the same sound as the blood in your body as it moves across the bones. Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? I love that song. And as you indulge in this tapping of the glands practice, I want to invite you to listen to your body, and just remember that your cells are always listening to you, whether you are intentional in your communication, like you can be with this practice, or when you're not intentional with your communication. Your cells are always looking to you. As above, so below. Your cells, just like us, are looking for that higher power, and you are that higher power. And so your cells are always conspiring to manifest your will, exactly what you want. And so keeping this in mind as you indulge on this practice and take yourself into a mode of true manifestation, being able to manipulate your own frequency with the sound of your voice, the percussion of your fingertips, and moving that energy, that lymph, that blood, that water through your body. So if you have questions or feedback about how it felt to do this practice, please do reach out, as some of you have before. I'm so excited to share this, and feel free to share it with whomever you think is ready to receive it. Enjoy.
Welcome to this moment that is here right now, especially for you. There is so much power here, as presence is a portal for peace. And with peace comes the potential for possibility. I invite you to stand, feet shoulders width apart, and welcome some slow, long, even deep breaths into your body. Connect to the natural rhythm of your inhalations and exhalations and honor them as offerings to your beautiful body. You have everything you need right now, and you have more than enough to give to your body that continues to support you and show up for you each day. As you continue to give your body big, bountiful breaths, I invite you to close your eyes if it feels safe and comfortable to do so. Keep breathing. Inhale for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it in for another 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep breathing. Thank you for allowing me to guide you as we tune into our bodies, tap our glands, and ask for the vitality and well-being that is our birthright. Feel free to open your eyes if you need to orient yourself to where certain organs and bones are in your body. Envision tapping as an energetic nudge to get your hormones vibrating and stimulated to adjust to a new frequency of your choosing. After all, we are vibratory beings that respond to frequencies around us. Hormones are like the Wi-Fi of our bodies. They are made in one organ and travel through the bloodstream in order to activate another part of the body without direct connection. Tapping helps improve the signal strength, if you will. So let's practice. Bunch your fingers together as if you were doing the sign for more. Use whichever hand you feel called to use, and if you want, separate your fingers. I like to bunch my fingers to concentrate the energy at my fingertips and use both hands for some bilateral stimulation, which helps the body integrate stress, trauma, and old patterns. Remember to feel into this practice as we go and do what feels good in your body. Let's start by bringing our tapping to the top of our head and tap the pineal gland, also known as the seat of the soul. There is so much mystery surrounding this pine cone-shaped gland in science today. The 2 major hormones found in this gland are dimethyltryptamine, commonly known as DMT, as well as melatonin. Peak levels of melatonin occur during the night, and some refer to it as the dream hormone. It regulates our circadian rhythm and time as we know it. Melatonin allows for us to access nourishing rest and enter the dream realm. DMT is known as the spirit molecule, as it has the ability to create and foster altered states, including those induced by plant medicines and birthing a child. Keep breathing. Bring your tapping to your forehead, in between your eyebrows, and tap the P-shaped gland known as the pituitary gland, which is seated on the underside of the center of the brain, also known as the master gland because it controls several other endocrine structures in the body, including the thyroid, adrenals, ovaries, and testicles. The 2 lobes of the pituitary gland secrete 9 hormones, one of which is oxytocin, also known as the love hormone, which is responsible for safety and healthy attachment. The pituitary partners with the pineal gland to regulate our emotions and intellect, and together they have been called the crystal palace or the third eye. Keep breathing. Bring your tapping to your neck and tap your throat, which houses the thyroid gland. It produces hormones that influence metabolism, growth and development, and body temperature. It is the largest pure endocrine gland in our body, and it's shaped like a butterfly. Butterflies are seen as symbols of freedom, which to me is fitting as we learn to free our voices and freely communicate our needs and desires that support our unique growth. The parathyroid glands attached behind the thyroid produces the most important hormone for controlling the calcium balance in the blood. The blood is to our bodies like water is to the earth. So let's do our part in keeping these sacred pathways clear and flowing. Keep breathing. Bring your tapping to your thymus, located on your sternum, that hard bone between your rib cage. The thymus produces T cells, which are essential for the adequate development of our immune response. At birth, the thymus is quite large, and it diminishes over time through adulthood after producing the cells it needs to do its important immunizing work. I like to think of the thymus as our loving ancestor because it keeps protecting us long after it leaves, and it teaches us lessons in letting go. Help your internal drum, your heart, tap your thymus to boost your immune system and let go of what no longer serves you. Keep breathing. Bring your tapping to your chest and breast, where you can find mammary glands near your heart center. Mammary glands are affected by prolactin, which is a hormone that produces milk. Mammary glands are also affected by oxytocin. Some studies show that the heart actually has endocrine tissue, so I tap that too. We can always stand to activate more flowing movement, nourishment, and love in our bodies and our lives. Before we move on, let's pause here and hold our hearts in gratitude for all the work that it does for us every single day. Keep breathing. Now bring your tapping to your pancreas, which is located behind and under your stomach, on the upper left side of your abdomen, right above your colon. The pancreas works persistently to release digestive juices and regulate blood sugar. Dear pancreas, may we always keep you in mind when we nourish our bodies with food. Take some deep inhalations and breathe it out right here. The pancreas is housed in the solar plexus, which holds our sense of self and worth. Forgive yourself for your diet choices and make a different one that is more aligned with your desired health and your future self next time. You are worthy of learning and growing. Keep breathing. Bring your tapping to the other side of your body, about your mid-back. Here you'll find your kidneys on either side, where your adrenal glands are perched on top of each one. The adrenal glands produce two powerful hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine, which we know as adrenaline. These hormones reinforce and prolong the fight or flight mechanisms and can become fatigued when we are under a lot of stress. With each tap, imagine letting go of any stress that you're holding on to, whether physically or mentally, The incentive to minimizing stress is opening up the possibility for euphoria and more pleasure in our lives. Give a few more taps here and take a big, deep breath in and release it out through your mouth. Keep breathing and bring your tapping to your sacral and root centers where your gonads are located. If you have ovaries, you can locate them by placing your thumbs on your navel and creating a triangle pointing downward towards your pelvis. Splay your pinky fingers out on either side and your ovaries will sit just about there. Tap gently on these generative organs that house all the eggs you'll ever produce in a lifetime. They produce estrogen and progesterone that exist in a delicate balance to promote healthy menstrual cycles and pregnancies. If you have testes, which primarily produce testosterone, tap each one gently to bring balance to your mood and your libido. The gonads are housed in the sacral chakra, which is the creative center that allows us to feel immense pleasure and birth our offerings into the world. Tapping them is not only key for sexual health, but for our total well-being and vitality. Take a few deep breaths and finish your tapping by revisiting any areas that you feel need more attention. Celebrate yourself for accepting the invitation into a unique and intuitive way to care for yourself while connecting to your future self in the present. You offered your breath, made requests of your glands, and now send warm waves of gratitude to your body with a hug and some loving touch anywhere that needs it in this moment. I encourage you to revisit any ideas that came up for you and direct your curiosity towards any sensations that were revealed. Being with this practice means that you are committed to decolonizing your well-being and that you are reclaiming the authority of your body and your health. As you enhance your practice of intentionally moving energy in your body, you will tap into your ability to move energy outside of your body too. This is where the fun and playfulness of manifestation will greet you. You have everything you need, and you are safe in this moment. Remember, connection with self, with source, and all of our relations will always be our protection.